We are recording. So it is August 18th, 2021, which sounds really weird for me to be saying 2021. And so these office hours are not terribly, no, they're not structured on purpose. So every 2 or 3 weeks, I'll send out a link like this and just to open up for questions or to talk about what's going on, or to ask questions about the class or themes that are in the class, that kind of stuff. Everybody that's in this first course, which is Introduction to Teaching 621, 614, either alternative certification people where they are teachers of record working on a 2-year provisional certificate while they're taking classes while they're doing that, or post-bac. Post-bac is and you probably know this, is where people are staying with their current jobs and just taking the same courses, but student teaching at the end. The student teaching for post-bac is 10 hours, and it's more like an expanded field experience. And I'll link you up with Dr. Rich when that time comes. And there's a lot of flexibility in how we do that. Or people in this course are working on a master's in education program. And if that's the case, I was saying earlier that really the certification courses are underlaid or overlaid, I don't know. They are just part of the whole sequence that flow together to receive the master's. And so it's really the concept of the certification courses and the alt-cert program are essentially the same series of courses for all 3 types of programs, but then the outcomes are a little bit different when we get there. So the first, I'm going to share screen. And so, yes, we're in 621, 614, and this is Introduction to Teaching. And so this is the 6th school year that I have facilitated alt-cert. And so it has evolved over time a little bit. Used to be that everybody in alt-cert was in Northwest Missouri, and I would drive around to all the schools, and don't quite do that the same. Some people are in Iowa now. So I'm going to share screen and just talk about the course and see all questions that you have, and talk about my mental image of the course and what it is that I'll be asking you to do. So I'm sharing screen, going to here. Okay, Dakota, give me a thumbs up if you can see. Okay, good. I think I need to move this. That's might be in the way for you all. I'll move it over here. So this course is move over here, the light's kind of weird. Yeah. This course is the first course, and it is a 7-week course. A lot of the courses at Northwest run on 7-week cycles. Those of you that are Bearcats know that. And then it flows into 621, 615, which is the 2nd course in the series. Last I checked, that is still listed as faculty staff. And I don't know exactly who's going to teach in that, but I'll follow up on that. So August 18 to October 8, essentially the way this is going to flow. As you know, this book is stemmed around the concepts of Harry Wong's First Day of School. As I've said in an earlier Zoom, this is an old school. The edition is not that old; it's 5th edition, but it's an old school teacher ed book. My nephew has a fiance that is a teacher, and a year ago we were doing the COVID family Zoom thing, and she just told us she got her first teaching job, and about 3 of us all at once said, "Oh, get Harry Wong's book," because most people in the Zoom were teachers or former teachers. And so my goal is that this class is very practical, and I'm not going to ask you to do anything that if I was your principal and you all were first-year teachers or studying to be teachers, that exactly kind of stuff that I'd be asking you to do. Now, those of you that are not teachers of record right now will need to pardon me a little bit in the language that I use in the assignments. If I talk about post your seating chart or something like that, then you would post what your seating chart would be. That kind of stuff. It is hypothetical for you all. DESE does expect, as you're working your way through certifications, that you have hours in buildings, which are called field experiences, before you get to the student teaching point. This class, I believe, has 30 hours built in. And so in a perfect world, you will be going, Dakota, you'll be finding a way to get over to Maryville High School or middle school and spending time in classrooms. Now, I am aware that with COVID, that gets really weird. So with everybody, and Cassidy the same way, we will, and Cassidy talked about building hours while getting time as a substitute teacher, which is we can work with that. So it's going to be different, but we just communicate and work our way through it. DESE doesn't really look over our shoulders real heavily as to what those practicum hours are. But if you think about it conceptually, the idea is that you're in the buildings a lot before it's time for you to spend 10 hours and then actually go off and be a teacher of record someplace if that's what you want to do. Back in the dark ages when I was student teaching, I really not spent any time, any practical sense, in schools before I went off to student teach. And I tell students now that you're receiving so much better instruction than I did when I was studying to be a teacher. There's no comparison to the trainings that you all receive compared to kind of stuff I had back in the dark ages. So essentially, this course, like all our other campus courses, is set up module based, and I encourage you to look at this from the modules to the assignments. It is possible for and it's not such a big deal in this class, but it's possible to go straight to the assignments and start working there, and have missed an informational page back in the module. Okay, the way my mind works, I build it as modules. There's some information and then tasks that you will do. Essentially, I will be asking you to do 2 tasks every week, and there's some interviews in there. They're all very practical things that you need to be able to do. So as I'm going to just scroll down here so you can see the modules. I will put this recording back up on the 8/18 optional Zoom meeting spot. I have other videos from last year and 2 years ago and so on. The 8/18 to 8/22, which is essentially a shorter time span. It's not a full week. Most of the modules are a week in length. When classes start on a Wednesday, it makes it a little bit odd. It means that the very first week is a short week. The very last week is a short week. And I'll show you what I mean. So introduce yourself video, because it is good to have videos where we see each other in videos and we can know each other better. It's part of my goal is that you build up a cohort of people that you can rely upon and share ideas with and that kind of stuff. That's a big concept. So introduce yourself, email your principal. So as I worded it, a principal or a veteran teacher, basically asking, and there's directions in there, but I'm not going to go all into it. They're basically, let them know that you're in this program, this certification program. You're working with Harry Wong's book, First Day of Schools. What's the most important thing the veteran teacher or the principal wants you to get out of it? I have here the post-back field experience log and reflection upload. I need to work on that just a little bit more. I think I need to build some more directions in that, but I put there due October 8th. It's at the end of the course, but I put it high in the modules because that's the way my mind works, and I want you to see it early. And anyway, how to be a happy first year teacher, find a role model, which is important. So what I'm trying to do in this short week here, these are not particularly difficult tasks I'm giving you. But those of you that are teachers of record are going to be completely swamped real early in this program. Okay. Those of us who have been teachers, we know that. We've been there. We know what it feels like. You have new teachers meetings and they just give your information like through a fire hose. And it's just how it is. And you can't stop administrators from doing that. They know better, but they all have their 18 hours of information they want to cram into 18 minutes. So right off the bat, not terribly, actually, none of this stuff is terribly strenuous. It's the stuff you need to be doing anyway. So first day of school contents. So I'm trying to get across the idea here of how people get their school day, their school year started real early. Harry Wong is a big proponent of bell work and morning routines, basically routines and procedures. And so a well-run school will have good, smooth routines and procedures about how students come into the school, how they get their breakfast, how when the bell will ring, how they get on down to the classrooms. Teachers are greeting them in the doorways. Teachers have bell work, something for them to do up on the screen when they come in, and the kids come in with a smile. Teachers are greeting their kids with a smile, but there's a friendly, business-like feel to it. Okay, we got things to do. Let's just get after it, and you just get their minds engaged, especially those of us that work in the middle school world. They'll be bouncing off the walls if you let them, and they will get away from you if you're not actively accounting for all that time. A high school teacher or middle school teacher sometimes can kind of give the kids a task to do and kind of step back a little bit with a breather. My daughter is a second grade teacher, and for the life of me, I don't know how you teach. She's also 6.5 months pregnant, trying to teach second graders through a mask, and 6.5 months pregnant at the same time. I don't know how she does it, because second graders mostly demand your attention every second of the day. And so, bless her for doing all that. So Harry Wong is a big proponent of it. He doesn't talk a lot about rules. There's some in there, but doesn't talk about consequences a lot. He doesn't talk about, kicking the trash can and the kind of old school stuff that I was taught as a first year teacher. You got to get your bluff in early. No, you put in routines and procedures with a smile. But I also tell new teachers that the kids need to see your canine teeth every now and then. Okay, they need to know who's in charge, because there's only going to be one person in charge of the room. Well, it's either you or the kids. There's no in between. I was a science teacher, so I had a lot of analogies that were like the world of biology. I always thought that kids coming in see you as either the predator or the prey. Okay, so there's very much a pecking order with a smile, but you have to be there's one person in charge. It has to be the teacher, because if it's not, it will be the kids. And it causes a lot more stress to try to tighten the reins later, okay, than it does to be highly structured, highly organized, lots of routines and lots of procedures. My wife and I went down over the weekend, and we helped our daughter work in a classroom. And she was getting all these binders ready. And she has a binder for this and a binder for that. She was getting her handouts in the binders. She was getting stickers on things. So she was setting the stage. Well, she'd already had about a half day of school, but she was setting the stage for things to flow easily, where she can say, when I tell you to, I want you to go over your cubby and get out your math binder. And in your math binder, you have these things. So that it takes lots of time to be that prepared. It's hard to over prepare as a good teacher. Okay. And I know that you will get behind. That's just part of it. And you'll be exhausted. And you'll spend lesson plan working at 9 o'clock at night and Sunday afternoons. That's what you've signed up for, Shannon. So, okay. So, a well-managed classroom. Okay. Here's the video here, when and how to take role classroom management. My theme on this one is, because this teacher is rather straightforward. Some would say dogmatic. I don't know. And so that's part of the conversation. How do you want your first interactions with your students to be? The teacher that created this video the year before, the kids had gotten away from him and ate him alive. And he said, this year's not going to be that way. Okay. So he's rather rigid. He's not grumpy about it, but he's rather rigid. Things we can talk about. The 5th edition has a CD in it. How You Have Changed My Life. For the life of me, I couldn't find a place in my house to play a CD anymore. So I took it. It was an assignment I took out because unless your laptop has a CD player in it, I'm not going to do that. So here's how to introduce yourself, effective discipline plans, share your classroom rules. So those of you that are not teachers of record yet will just using Harry Wong as a guide, create your own effective discipline plan. I guarantee that when it comes time for you to interview for a full-time teaching position, the principal will ask that question. What are your thoughts on discipline? And I'd like you to say, well, I like to think more about classroom management and being proactive as opposed to discipline. In my opinion, discipline is after the fact. So it is true that if you plan well and you have good structure, you can head off a lot of stuff. Not everything, but a lot of stuff. So procedures, invite students to learn. I'm just scrolling down here, and then I'm going to stop and see what questions you have. We're going to talk a little bit about objectives. Transitions and objectives are in the lesson plans. I've done something a little bit different with this course than I did last time. I have published all these green check marks mean that you can see all these assignments right now. And actually, you can start on them right now. You will see, though, that I want all these assignments. These are all, that symbol right there, it means threaded discussion. Most of these are threaded discussions. To be a good threaded discussion, there needs to be back and forth between the people in the class. And so how I word it is that you have to post an initial post and you have to post on 2 of your classmates. But all 3 of those posts have to be on separate days. Okay, it means nothing to a threaded discussion if you do all your uploading at 11:59 on Sunday night. You're not part of a discussion. So you need to plan ahead a little bit and get your initial post midweek. Okay, they give yourself time to, Marcus can say something about Shannon's post or Jordan's post, and Jordan can say something about Shannon's and Marcus, and so you're in the thread at least 3 times. You can be more, but that's how that works. I've been accused of being kind of uselessly dogmatic about that. That's just how it is. Okay, because it's very important that this is a true threaded discussion. So then towards the end of the course, we get to softer things a little bit, smiles and positive expectations. And here, and I wanted you to see this too, there's 2 final activities here. Surveying yourself, and that's not a threaded discussion, that's just between you and me. And a final reflection about the course. And just a informational page here about code of ethics. Okay, I've talked for 24 minutes, which is plenty long. Teacher talk to a middle school kid or high school kid, teacher talk is the same as lecture. And so we try real hard not to lecture any more than we have to. Try to chunk that up. Talk a little bit, have them do something. Okay. Let me ask, has anybody heard of Spencer Kagan, Kagan? Okay, I'll give you a new name there, Spencer Kagan. Spencer Kagan is called Kagan Student Engagement Strategies. Okay, he and Harry Wong are old timers like that. Spencer Kagan talks a lot when you hear about stand up, hand up, pair up, or rally robin, or the circle activities, snowball activities, ways that you get your students on their feet to interact with the information. I contend that anytime you can have the students talking about the information, it's a version of higher order learning. Okay, so if I was going to come in your classroom and observe you teach, I would want to see some time in there when you had your kids on their feet and they were talking about what's going on. They were finding new people to talk about. You're pairing up kids, they're talking, and you're creating new groups. And so it's called, and Spencer Kagan has books about activities that you can try. And so when like tomorrow afternoon at 3:30, when I'm in front of a bunch of undergrad students, I'm going to find ways to use some of Spencer Kagan's student engagement strategies, because I'll try to model things that they should do. And so it's just important, kids need to be on their feet because adults need to be on their feet. We just think better as we're moving around, gets the blood flowing. Okay, so okay, questions. I'll pause right there. That's called wait time. Okay, teachers are not great about wait time. Sometimes I would click off 10 on my hand as if I'm a basketball official to let the students know it's called wait time. It's not dead time. I'm giving them time to think if there's any questions. Sometimes the silence is painful. Perfectly fine. Okay. Okay. So my intent is that every few weeks, kind of when I feel like haven't been in touch with you all for a while, I'll put out the invitation here. And really, there are people that just got into this class today, so they barely knew about this Zoom here. I think there's 18 people in this class. Okay, so essentially, each semester, especially the true alt-cert teachers or record people, you're not able to enroll yourself. I have to do that back and forth enrollment sheet thing. Sometimes post-bac people are able to enroll themselves. Most of the time, grad students are able to get a pen and it works just fine. Don't ask me why. It's just that alt-cert just alternative. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Well, this is going to be a fun class, or it's going to be a class. I don't know. I hope you find it beneficial. Is really what I'm after. I want it to be very practical, and that's what I'm after. And I'm not I don't do a lot of extra fluff. I wasn't a fluffy teacher. I wasn't a fluffy principal. Pretty straightforward, but I love being around kids. Okay. So my fluff would be in the hallways interacting with kids. And I did that for 19 years. Okay. So I think I've got some things I want to share with you. I'm going to stop recording now.